May our Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be with us. Book of Joel. The word of our Father in heaven that came to Joel, son of Pethuel. Listen to this, O elders. Give ear, O all inhabitants of the land. Has the like of this happened in your days, or in the days of your fathers? Tell your children about it, and let your children tell theirs and their children, the next generation. What the cutter has left, the locust has devoured. What the locust has left, the grub has devoured. And what the grub has left, the hopper has devoured. Wake up, you drunkards, and weep. Wail, all you swillers of wine, for the new wine that is denied you. For a nation has invaded my land, vast beyond counting, with teeth like the teeth of a lion, with the fangs of a lion's breed. They have laid my vines waste and splintered my fig trees. They have stripped off their bark and thrown it away. Their runners have turned white, lament like a maiden girt with sackcloth for the husband of her youth. Offering and libation have ceased from the house of our Father in heaven. The priest must mourn who minister to our Father in heaven. The country is ravaged. The ground must mourn, for the new grain is ravaged, the new wine is dried up, the new oil has failed, farmers are dismayed, and vine dressers wail over wheat and barley, for the crops of the field are lost. The vine has dried up, the fig tree withers, pomegranate, palm, and apple, all the trees of the field are sere, and joy has dried up among men. Gird yourselves and lament, O priests. Wail, O ministers of the altar. Come spend the night in sackcloth, O ministers of my Elohim, for offering and libation are withheld from the house of your Elohim. Solemnize a fast, proclaim an assembly, gather the elders, all the inhabitants of the land in the house of our Father in heaven, your Elohim, and cry out to our Father in heaven. Alas, for the day of our Father in heaven is near. It shall come like havoc from Shaddai the Almighty, for food is cut off before our very eyes, and joy and gladness from the house of our Elohim. The seeds have shriveled under the clods. The granaries are desolate. Barns are in ruins, for the new grain has failed. How the beasts groan, the herds of cattle are bewildered because they have no pasture, and the flocks of sheep are dazed. To you, O our Father in heaven, I call, for fire has consumed the pastures in the wilderness, and flame has devoured all the trees of the countryside. The very beasts of the field cry out to you, for the watercourses are dried up, and fire has consumed the pastures in the wilderness. Blow a horn in Zion, sound an alarm on my holy mount. Let all dwellers on earth tremble, for the day of our Father in heaven has come. It is close, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of densest clouds, spread like soot over the hills. A vast, enormous horde, nothing like it has ever happened, and it shall never happen again. Through the years and ages, their vanguard is a consuming fire, their rear guard a devouring flame. Before them the land was like the Garden of Eden, behind them a desolate waste. Nothing has escaped them. They have the appearance of horses. They gallop just like steeds, with a clatter as of chariots. They bound on the hilltops with a noise like a blazing fire, consuming straw. Like an enormous horde, arrayed for battle, peoples tremble before them. All faces turn ashen. They rush like warriors. They scale a wall like fighters, and each keeps to his own track. Their paths never cross. No one jostles another. Each keeps to his own course, and should they fall through a loophole, they do not get hurt. They rush up the wall. They dash about in the city. They climb into the houses. They enter like thieves by way of the windows. Before them, earth trembles. Heaven shakes. Sun and moon are darkened, and stars withdraw their brightness. And our Father in heaven roars aloud at the head of his army, for vast indeed is his host. Numberless are those that do his bidding, for great is the day of our Father in heaven, and most terrible who can endure it. Yet even now, says our Father in heaven, turn back to me with all your hearts, and with fasting, weeping, and lamenting. Rend your hearts rather than your garments, and turn back to our Father in heaven, your Elohim. For he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, abounding in kindness, and renouncing punishment. Who knows, but he may turn and relent and leave a blessing behind for meal offering and drink offering to our Father in heaven, your Elohim. Blow a horn in Zion, solemnize a fast, proclaim an assembly. Gather the people, bid the congregation purify themselves, bring together the old, gather the babes and the sucklings at the breast, let the bridegroom come out of his chamber. The bride from his canopy couched between a portico and the altar. Let the priest, our Father in heaven's ministers, weep and say, O spare your people, O our Father in heaven. Our Father in heaven, let not your possession become a mockery, to be taunted by nations. Let not the people say, where is their Elohim? Then our Father in heaven was roused on behalf of his land and had compassion upon his people. In response to his people, our Father in heaven declared, I will grant you the new grain, the new wine, and the new oil, and you shall have them in abundance. Nevermore will I let you be a mockery among the nations. I will drive the northerner far from you. I will thrust it into a parched and desolate land, its van to the eastern sea, and its bear to the western sea, and the stench of all it shall go up, and the foul smell rise. For our Father in heaven shall work great deeds. Fear not, O soil, rejoice and be glad. For our Father in heaven has wrought great deeds. Fear not, O beast of the field, for the pastures and the wilderness are clothed with grass. The trees have borne their fruit, fig tree and vine have yielded their strength. O children of Zion, be glad, rejoice in our Father in heaven, ye Elohim. For he has given you the early rain in his kindness. Now he makes the rain fall as formerly, the early rain and the late. And threshing floors shall be plowed with grain, and vats shall overflow with new wine and oil. I will repay you for the years consumed by swarms and hoppers, by grubs and locusts. The great army I let loose against you, and you shall eat your fill, and praise the name of our Father in heaven, your Elohim, who doth so wondrously with you. My people shall be shamed no more. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, that I, our Father in heaven, am your Elohim, and there is no other, and my people shall be shamed no more. After that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. I will ever pour out my spirit upon male and female slaves in those days. Before the great and terrible day of our Father in heaven comes, I will set portents in the skies, in the sky and on earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall turn into darkness and the moon into blood. But everyone who invokes the name of our Father in heaven shall escape, for there shall be a remnant on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem. As our Father in heaven promised, anyone who invokes our Father in heaven will be among the survivors. For lo, in those days and in that time when I restore the fortunes of Jehudah and Jerusalem, I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There I will contend with them over my very own people, Israel, which they scattered among the nations. You see, which they scattered over my very own people, Israel, which they scattered among the nations. For they divided my land among themselves and cast lots over my people. And they battered a boy for a whore. Look at this. Imagine anybody was watching this. This is where we came from. Oh, there I will contend with them over my very own people Israel, which they scattered among the nations. For they divided my land among themselves and cast lots over my people. And they battered a boy for a whore and sold a girl for wine, which they drank. That's what they do, man. What is this you are doing to me, O Tyre, Sidon, and all the districts of Philistia? Are you requiting me for something I have done, or are you doing something for my benefit? Quick as a flash, I will pay you back, for you have taken my gold and my silver, and have carried off my precious treasures to your palaces, and you have sold the people of Jehudah and the people of Jerusalem to the Ionians, so that you have removed them far away from their homeland. Behold, I will rouse them to leave the place you have sold them to, and I will pay you back. I will deliver your sons and daughters into the hands of the people of Jehudah, and they will sell them into captivity to a distant nation, for our Father in heaven has spoken. Proclaim this among the nations, prepare for battle. Arouse the warriors, let all the fighters come and draw near. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let even the weaklings say, I am strong. Rouse yourselves and come, all you nations, come together. From round about there bring down your warriors, O our Father in heaven. Let the nations rouse themselves and march up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I will sit in judgment over all the nations round about. Swing the sickle, for the crop is ripe. Come and tread, for the winepress is full. The vats are overflowing, for great is their wickedness. Multitudes upon multitudes. In the valley of delusion, for the day of our Father in heaven is at hand. In the valley of decision, sun and moon are darkened, and stars withdraw their brightness, and our Father in heaven will roar from Zion and shout aloud from Jerusalem, so that heaven and earth tremble. But our Father in heaven will be a shelter to his people, a refuge to the children of Israel. And you shall know that I, our Father in heaven, am your Elohim. And you shall know that I, our Father in heaven, your Elohim, dwell in Zion, my holy mount. And Jerusalem shall be holy, nevermore shall strangers pass through it. And in that day the mountains shall drip with wine, the hills shall flow with milk, and in the watercourses of Jehudah shall flow with water. A spring shall issue from the house of our Father in heaven, and shall water the wadi of the Asasias. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom a desolate waste, because of the outrage of the people of Jehudah, in whose land they shed the blood of the innocent. But Jehudah shall be inhabited forever, and Jerusalem throughout the ages. Thus I will treat as innocent their blood, when I have not treated as innocent, and our Father in heaven shall dwell in Zion. May our Father, the Son, and the Spirit be with us. We just got through the book of Job.